All right, so you sent over a bunch of research about Ethereum.
Yeah.
And honestly, the question on everyone's mind is Ethereum dying?
Hmm.
We're talking about like a crypto giant here, but it seems like it's facing some serious headwinds lately. So
Wow. Yeah,
let's deep dive into this stuff and see if we can figure out what's really going on.
absolutely. I think it's not just about the usual market volatility that we see in crypto.
Right.
Some analysts are saying that Ethereum might be in real trouble,
Okay.
facing a slow death, as one prominent Bitcoin investor puts it.
Okay, slow death sounds a little dramatic.
Yeah.
But this article, Ethereum's critical trend break, really lays out some alarming data points.
Yeah.
It all starts with this trend line that Ethereum's been following against Bitcoin,
Right.
essentially the ETH-BTC ratio.
Right. And that trend line's been like a bedrock for Ethereum.
Yeah.
It supported those massive rallies in 2017 and 2021.
Right.
But in November 2024, it broke.
Wow.
And it wasn't just a small dip.
Yeah.
The trading volume during that break suggests a lot of people were selling off their Ethereum.
So it's like everyone was suddenly heading for the exits.
Yeah.
I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
What I didn't quite understand was why. The article mentions a bunch of reasons, but which ones really stand out to you?
Well, one that jumped out at me was the whole Bitcoin ETF situation.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when those spot ETFs launched in the US?
Mm-hmm.
It was like everyone suddenly had easy access to Bitcoin and institutional investors piled in.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, okay, cool, maybe we'll get Ethereum ETF soon too.
Right.
But it seems like that hasn't really materialized in the same way.
Exactly. Ethereum spot ETFs haven't had the same kind of impact. And you see that reflected in the price action.
Right.
It's almost like Bitcoin got this official stamp of approval while Ethereum is still waiting in the wings.
So we've got this external pressure from Bitcoin sucking up all the oxygen in the room.
Yeah.
But the article also mentions some internal challenges within Ethereum itself.
Right. One of the biggest is scalability. Ethereum can get pretty clogged up when there's a lot of activity on the network, leading to those infamous high transaction fees.
Ah, yes, the gas fees.
Yeah.
I remember one time I tried to do a simple transaction and the fee was almost as much as what I was actually sending.
Right.
It's definitely off-putting for a lot of users.
And that's exactly why some people are turning to competitors like Solana,
Okay.
which boasts faster and cheaper transactions.
Right.
The article mentions that Solana has surged a whopping 925% against Ethereum.
What? That's solid.
Whoa, 925%. That's a lot.
It is.
But I'm also thinking back to what you said earlier about Ethereum's shrinking market dominance.
Yeah.
Isn't that also partly due to the overall crypto market becoming more diverse?
Yeah.
More coins, more options, that sort of thing?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a zero-sum game. The overall crypto pie is growing. So even if Ethereum's slice shrinks a bit, it could still be worth more in absolute terms.
But the emergence of strong competitors like Solana is definitely something to watch closely.
Okay, so we've got Bitcoin looming large internal challenges with scalability and fees, and then these hungry competitors nipping at Ethereum's heels.
Right.
The article even went as far as comparing Ethereum's current situation to a slow death. Is that an overreaction, or is there something to that assessment?
Well, that's where things get interesting.
Okay.
To understand why someone would use such strong language, we need to look at the arguments they're making.
And the person making that slow death claim is Tuur Demeester, right?
That's right.
Founder of that Bitcoin hedge fund, Adamant Capital.
Yep.
He's obviously a big Bitcoin bull.
Right, and he's not just saying this out of thin air.
Yeah.
He argues that Ethereum is facing a combination of market pressures and internal weaknesses that are gradually eroding its position.
Okay, so let's break down his reasoning a bit more.
Go ahead.
What are the specific points he's making?
One of his key arguments is that Ethereum's high transaction fees are pushing users away. And it's not just casual users, it's also developers who are looking for more cost-effective platforms to build on.
Right. If it costs an arm and a leg to build and use a dApp on Ethereum, why wouldn't developers look for alternative?
Exactly. And Demeester argues that this is where competitors like Solana have an advantage. They can offer faster and cheaper transactions, which makes them more attractive for both developers and users.
So he's basically saying that Ethereum is losing its appeal, its competitive edge, because it's becoming too expensive and cumbersome to use.
Right.
And that this is creating a slow death spiral.
That's his argument in a nutshell.
Okay.
He's not saying that Ethereum will disappear overnight,
Right.
but rather that it's gradually losing ground to its rivals. And this brings us to another interesting point he makes.
Okay, what's that?
He points to a specific chart pattern in the ETH BTC price action,
Okay.
something called an inverted cup and handle.
An inverted cup and handle.
Yeah.
I'm picturing a coffee cup flipped upside down with a little handle sticking out. But what does that actually mean in terms of the market?
Well, in technical analysis, this pattern is often seen as a bearish signal. Imagine this. You have a chart of ETH BTC.
Okay.
The price action forms a rounded top like an upside-down cup, followed by a brief consolidation period that looks like a little handle attached to the cup.
Okay, I'm kind of visualizing it.
Yeah.
So why is this pattern considered bearish?
Because it suggests that after that brief consolidation period, represented by the handle, the price is likely to break down and continue its downward trend.
So if this pattern plays out, it could spell more trouble for Ethereum?
That's what Demeester is suggesting.
Okay.
He's using this technical pattern to support his argument that Ethereum is on a downward trajectory.
But before we get too carried away with this slow death narrative, let's take a step back and consider the other side of the coin.
Right, because even with these challenges, there are reasons to be optimistic about Ethereum's future.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we've heard the doom and gloom predictions.
Right.
But I'm also seeing a lot of chatter online about Ethereum 2.0.
Yeah.
This major upgrade that's supposed to fix a lot of the issues we've been talking about.
Right. Ethereum 2.0, or as it's officially called now, the consensus layer,
Oh, okay.
has been in the works for a while.
Right.
It's a really ambitious project that aims to address some of Ethereum's core limitations,
Okay.
especially scalability.
I remember trying to wrap my head around it when it was first announced.
Yes.
Something about switching from proof of work to proof of stake.
Right.
Honestly, it all sounded a bit like science fiction to me.
It is pretty complex stuff.
Yeah.
But the gist of it is that proof of stake is supposed to be much more energy efficient and scalable than the current proof of work system.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Right now, Ethereum is like a big bustling city with tons of traffic jams because everyone's trying to get through this same few roads.
Okay. I can picture that rush hour in Crypto City.
Exactly. But with proof of stake, it's like building a whole new network of super efficient highways in public transportation. This should make transactions much faster and cheaper,
Right.
and also allow the network to handle a much larger volume of activity.
So it's like upgrading the whole infrastructure of Ethereum City
Yeah.
to handle the growing population and all the new dApps that people are building.
Precisely. And that's why a lot of people are excited about Ethereum 2.0.
Yeah.
If it can deliver on its promises, it could be a game changer for Ethereum,
Okay.
addressing those scalability and high fee issues that we discussed earlier.
But even with these improvements, Ethereum is still going to be facing competition, right?
Absolutely. Competition is fierce in the crypto world.
Yeah.
And it's not just about technical features and transaction speeds.
Right.
It's also about building a strong community, fostering innovation, and attracting developers who want to build the next generation of dApps.
And this is where the whole slow death argument gets really interesting, because it forces us to think about what ultimately determines the success or failure of a cryptocurrency.
Right.
Is it just about price, or is there something more to it?
I think it's much more than just price.
Okay.
A truly successful cryptocurrency needs to have a strong foundation, a clear purpose, and a vibrant community that believes in its vision.
Oh, okay. So what is Ethereum's vision?
Yeah.
We've talked about it as a platform for building dApps,
Yeah.
but what does that actually mean in practical terms?
Well, the potential applications of dApps are vast,
Okay.
from finance and gaming to supply chain management and even voting systems. They offer unique advantages like transparency, security, and censorship resistance because they're not controlled by any single entity.
So it's about creating a more decentralized world
Yeah,
where power is distributed rather than concentrated in the hands of a few.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's a vision that resonates with a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially those who are skeptical of traditional institutions and centralized systems.
And this is where Ethereum's strong community comes in, right? Yeah. They're the ones who are building and using these dApps, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with this technology.
A vibrant and engaged community is essential for any cryptocurrency to thrive.
Right.
It's about more than just buying and selling tokens.
Yeah.
It's about contributing to the development and adoption of a technology that has the potential to change the world.
So while Ethereum is facing some real challenges, it also has some major strengths.
Right.
It's got a strong foundation, a compelling vision, and a passionate community.
Right. And let's not forget that Ethereum has a significant first-mover advantage. It's been around for a while, it's battle-tested, and it's got a huge ecosystem of developers and dApps already built on top of it.
So it's not just a matter of comparing features and transaction speeds.
Yeah.
It's also about the network effects and the momentum that Ethereum has built up over the years.
Exactly. And that's why it's too early to write Ethereum off. It's facing some tough competition, but it's also got a lot going for it.
So we've explored the challenges and the strengths, the bearish arguments, and the reasons for optimism.
Right.
But I'm still left wondering, what does all this mean for the average person who's just trying to make sense of the crypto world?
Well, I think the key takeaway here is that the crypto landscape is constantly shifting.
Right.
What looks like a slow death today
Mm-hmm.
could be the prelude to a dramatic comeback tomorrow.
So it's not about making predictions or trying to time the market, but
Yeah.
rather about understanding the underlying trends and the forces at play.
Exactly. And it's also about recognizing that there's a lot we still don't know.
Right.
The future of Ethereum, like the future of crypto in general, is full of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes it so fascinating.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, from technical details to market dynamics to philosophical questions about the future of technology.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to bring it all back to the listener and what they can do with all this information.
Right. Because ultimately, the decision of whether to invest in Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency is a personal one.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer.
So we've talked about like the potential upsides and downsides.
Right.
But what does all this mean for someone who's like hearing all of this and trying to make a decision?
I think the most important thing is to remember there are no guarantees in the crypto world.
Yeah, I've definitely learned that the hard way.
We all have, I think.
Yeah.
It can be tempting to get caught up in the hype or the fear, but ultimately,
Right.
you have to make decisions that are right for you based on your own research and risk tolerance.
That's good advice for life in general, I think.
Yeah.
Don't just blindly follow what other people are doing.
Right.
Do your own homework and figure out what makes sense for you.
Exactly. And in the case of Ethereum, that means taking a hard look at all the factors we've discussed.
Yeah.
The technical challenges, the competitive landscape, the potential of Ethereum 2.0, and of course your own personal financial goals.
And it sounds like it's not a one-time decision either.
Right.
The crypto world is constantly changing, so you have to stay informed and be willing to adapt your strategy as needed.
Right. It's a dynamic space, and that's part of what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
But it also means you can't just set it and forget it.
Right.
You have to stay engaged, keep learning, and be prepared for the unexpected.
So what are some of the key things that you're personally paying attention to as you navigate this crazy crypto world?
Well, one thing I'm really interested in is the development of decentralized finance, or DeFi.
Okay.
It's still early days, but I think DeFi has the potential to revolutionize the way we think about finance.
I've heard that term DeFi thrown around a lot. Can you give us a quick ELI 5 on what it actually means?
Sure, DeFi is basically about building financial applications on top of blockchains like Ethereum. Think of things like lending, borrowing, trading, and even insurance,
Wow.
but all done in a decentralized way without the need for traditional intermediaries like banks.
So it's like cutting out the middleman and giving people more control over their own finances.
Exactly. And that's a powerful idea.
Right.
Of course, there are risks involved, as with anything new and innovative,
Sure.
but the potential is huge.
And it sounds like Ethereum is well positioned to play a major role in this DeFi revolution,
Right.
even with all the challenges we've discussed.
Right. Ethereum has a strong foundation, a vibrant community, and a lot of the key infrastructure for DeFi is already being built on top of it.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We started with this question.
Yeah.
Is Ethereum dying?
Right.
And honestly, there's no easy answer.
Right. What we found is that Ethereum is at a crossroads. It's facing some serious challenges, but it also has the potential to emerge stronger than ever.
It's kind of like those choose-your-own-adventure books we used to read as kids.
Yeah.
Ethereum's story isn't written yet. The ending depends on the choices that are made, both by the community and by individual users like you.
And those choices will be shaped by a complex interplay of factors.
Yeah.
Technological innovation market forces, regulatory developments, and even social and political trends.
It's a lot to keep track of, but I think that's what makes this space so fascinating. It's constantly evolving, and there's always something new to learn.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to stay curious, to keep asking questions, and to never stop exploring.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Ethereum's fate.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking.
Absolutely.
And remember, this is just the beginning of the conversation. The future of Ethereum and of the crypto world as a whole is still being written.
It is.
So stay tuned, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay curious. Until next time.